Okay, folks, Wednesday evening. Hope you can join me. We're going to do some painting here. And kind of in between stuff. I am doing modeling, but at the same time, I've got to do some painting because there's downtime in the painting that happens just by the whole process. So working on a model and painting is something different. Seems to work pretty well. I've done that pretty successfully the last couple ones. So on the modeling front, we've got this this German armored car almost done. We just have to mess with the antenna and the mounts, and other than that, she's pretty much done. So we're going to go back to this as soon as we are done with the next phase of the painting, and so that we have a chance to maybe do some gaming sometime in the next couple of months. I do need to do some Soviets, so that's what we have here. We have 3 Soviet T-34s. One of them actually broke off. I have these little cork things on here so I could paint and not have this, not get this shit all over me, paint all over me. It looks like this never cured. Oh, looks like this one broke too. Okay, well, is that one solid? It is. Okay. Hey, studio, welcome. So we've got 3 T-34s. These are Skytrex / Hinchcliffe models, and they are probably mostly lead. I bought these from an estate sale a couple of months ago. I got a ton of T-34s. I've got, I don't know, 30. I probably got 30 T-34s between all the models. I got some 1940 models, which are these, the first one. Then the second one, which is the model 1941. I got some 42s. I got some 42s with the Chelyabinsk turret, which is a little bit different. I got some T-34 85s. Of all those models, probably all told, I probably actually have more than 30 of them. So the good thing is that allows me to do some experimentation with some winter camouflage. I am not going to, none of these 3 will be winter right off the bat, because I haven't figured out how I want to do that yet. I've seen many articles on it, and I'm going to come up with my own system, I'm pretty sure. So these 3 are just going to be flat green. This is going to be early Barbarossa. These particular models, the 1941 has a shorter barrel. I believe it's a 30.5 caliber weapon, so it's a shorter barrel 76. And it was plenty enough for the Germans to deal with these guys right here, because with the sloped armor, they had a hell of a time trying to knock these things out. And yeah, it has been a little while. And we've got one Model 41, which has the longer barrel. You can see here the difference. This is the same caliber, same diameter gun, but just a longer caliber. So yeah, I normally put these things on corks, and for some reason it looks like it just didn't, this epoxy didn't set really well underneath there. And that's just so I can move this thing around and not get paint all over myself. But one of these things that these models are actually kind of crude. They actually had quite a bit of flash, but really the biggest problem that these things have is that they had a machine gun was molded to the actual hull with a vertical piece. So it wasn't freestanding. It had the machine gun, and it had a piece of flash that went all the way to the hull. And I was concerned that I didn't take enough of that off, but it looks like it's not going to be very visible. But the advantage is Russian vehicles are typically very crude anyway, so that kind of works with it. But these 3 are going to be standard greens, and yeah, and once we do that, you know, we can experiment with doing the winter camouflage. You know, without an airbrush, is I don't use the airbrush. I have no intention of buying one. Even if I snapped my fingers and an airbrush appeared in front of me, I got to go and do it in the garage where it's hot. And then I got to do cleanup, and I don't want to do any of that stuff. So I've been pretty happy with how these have turned out. So all I've done with them is I gave them some cheap black spray paint. You can't get everywhere with a black spray paint because in doing so, you're going to get way too much paint in other areas and cover over the detail. So I kind of give them an overall, and then you go in there with the surface primer from Vallejo with a brush and do the rest. That's what we're going to do right now. Let's get us a little palette here where we can pour this stuff out. And airbrush is a lot of work. I worked at a hobby store in the early 90s, and we had a Pache is what we called them. I don't know if that's the name of the brand, if it's Pache. We always called them Paches. It was a good airbrush we could use with a compressor and everything. And, you know, when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, you're just wasting time. Like I like to say is, you know, my painting isn't quick, but everything I do builds upon what I did before. So I'm constantly moving in one direction. It's not all like all of a sudden like, okay, I'm going to paint something, and you have the day where an airbrush maybe misbehaves and you're fighting with it, and at the end of the day you have nothing to show for it. That's extremely frustrating. And I don't have that happen with a standard brush, thankfully. Well, I might not want to paint. I might not find painting so relaxing. So I have no intention in getting one. And I did have a really cheap one that I got for $80, including the compressor. And I have just decided to get rid of it. I'm not going to. It's not worth my time to mess with it. You know, if I could spray here, inside here, maybe, but it's just a lot of overspray and stuff like that. I don't want to deal with that. So, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of the wrong work. You know, and then I have to set up like correct lighting in the garage, and it's hot out there. I've been hot all day at work, so. All right, let's go ahead and, I'm not so sure that I have to glue this back up. It's just broke off, but I don't know what the deal is. The bottom of this is pretty rough hewn. So maybe just didn't get a good purchase on that. All right, we're gonna come in here and apply this in the places that we missed. But yeah, I have a ton of T-34s to do. And that's a good thing because I can experiment with different things that maybe I'd be. You know, I wouldn't want to experiment a paint scheme with a plastic model, because if, say, I don't like how it turns out and I have to paint over it, I've already invested time in building the model. Here, this thing went together in like, you know, 3 licks of a popsicle. So I don't have really an investment of time to, and I always worry about stuff like that. I always kind of have this like black cloud that's hanging over me, like, man, what if it doesn't turn right? You know, when I do something different, not if I'm painting 15mm miniatures, but when I first started doing these vehicles a couple months ago, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like how they turn out. You know, I always have this worry. You know, it's kind of like, you know, people that like to write, it's writer's block. I call this painter's block. Well, I don't know how it's going to turn out. And it's never an issue. I don't remember the last time I painted something and I didn't like how it turned out. It was probably, you know, decades ago. Because even if I don't like how it turns out, I can figure out how to fix it. It's not like, well, this is going into the garbage can. 8 a.m. here, going to go run errands. Okay. I guess your store doesn't open until later, huh? But, you know, I still have this, what I call it painter's block. Well, what if this doesn't turn out? What if it doesn't, you know, and you need to just not listen to that. You need to just jump in, start painting. And if you're an experienced painter, You got nothing to worry about. You got the skill set to be able to fix anything you're not happy with. And honestly, sometimes it's better that things don't turn out great every time so that you can practice fixing things. So, correcting things. So, yeah, just got to power through. You're your own worst enemy sometimes, so. Just power through. Just throw the paint down and it'll sort itself out. But I was really happy the way the Germans turned out. Really, really, really happy with how they turned out. Because I wanted them to look realistic, but not ultra realistic. You know, maybe more realistic than maybe the things you see in Flames of War, but not a whole lot, because the Flames of War stuff looks like playing pieces. I don't mind these vehicles looking like playing pieces. That's what they are. I don't want paint chipping or none of that stuff that takes forever and dust effects. Yeah, dust effects is one of those things I don't like because it goes contrary to everything that I paint. You know, you leave dark color in the recesses, and when you do dust effects, the lighter colors fall in the recesses, and it just doesn't look right at a distance. It looks like you tried to cover over a lot of details. It doesn't look good to my eye for a wargaming piece. Let's put it that way. If I was trying to do an ultra realistic scenario or a diorama or something like that, maybe, but not for a wargaming. I need them to look a little bit more gamey-ish. But you know, that's your own personal preference. That just happens to be how I happen to like them. Okay. Whoop. We do not need to end up. Well, I did wear the right color shirt, so that's good. Yeah, these things were difficult enough to deal with for the Germans. So I kind of have a problem that if you're still on here, I'll run this by you, see what you think. I kind of have this problem that happened to me that's actually never happened to me before. It involves with purchasing something online. I've been on the lookout for a few things that are kind of expensive, and I found a good deal on them from an online vendor. I paid with a credit card, and I got a confirmation, like an automated confirmation that they got my order. We'll let you know when we ship it. So, you know, I'm not really in a hurry for the items, but I did send them a note and said, hey, let me know when you have received this order, about how long you expect them to ship to me. And I don't hear anything from them. And normally I wouldn't worry about it, but I decided to look them up on the internet. Of course, I did this after I placed the order with them. And apparently they have a history of not answering their emails and people complaining about not receiving their goods and stuff like that. Now, with that said, the incident happened about a year ago. And, you know, almost like, well, this business is no good. That's why they changed their name to this, just to kind of cover up their past performance or lack of performance. And I'm just got kind of concerned. Like, it's not a terrible amount of money. It's $80, you know. And, but I've never had to dispute a credit card claim. So I went and I emailed them a couple days ago, said, hey, we should respond to every email the same day or within 48 hours. And I sent them another message, basically, not aggressive or anything, but just saying, I just kind of want to know that they got my order and that, you know, they got the stuff in stock and, you know. I don't want them to send like one thing of my, I ordered like four things. I don't want them to send like one thing and not the rest, or, because the shipping was kind of like $10 for shipping, and it's domestic here in the U.S. So that's kind of high for shipping, but it is quite a few things. I'd like to know if, hey, if you guys aren't really in business, I'll order this stuff from somebody else. I just don't know what to do. I just don't know. Obviously, I should give them a little bit more time, but I guess I should give them a week. And I'll have to ask the wife I've actually never. I'm 51 and a half years old, and I've never had had to have an argument with a credit card company about, hey, I want to cancel this order and dispute these charges. I've actually never had that happen. So I don't want to jump the gun, but at the same time, I'd like to know if these people are breathing. And it just doesn't bode well that why would I assume that a place and they have a nice website and everything, why would I assume that a place has a problem fulfilling orders? You know, like I said, it's not a huge amount of money that, if the end of the world happens and I lose that money, which I don't think it's going to come to that, but it's not like it's the end of the world. It's just, if these people don't have this, I'd rather get it from somebody else, you know. It was a couple of things that are very hard to get a hold of because they're injection molded stuff for some reason like goes out of production. I don't understand. I don't understand why that is, but. Fortunate things from this night. Essex used to be terrible at email responses. I say give it time. How much time should I give it? A couple weeks? I don't know. I'm used to getting really good, I mean, you want to do a good job for your customers so they come back for more, I just don't want to do all that hassle, cancel the order, and then the next day after I cancel the order, well, you should have tried to reach us. Give us 3 days, So, I don't know. 2 weeks? Wow, that's a long time. Okay. All right, I'm going to take your advice on it, okay? If I don't hear from them, I'll call the wife in and say, can you call a credit card company and dispute this? She's the pro at making those kind of calls. I do that kind of stuff. I do customer service for my customers at my work. So I get very irritated when I don't get at least half of the customer service I provide to our customers. She's a lot better at those customer service things and that stuff than I am. Okay, 2 weeks. We'll give them 2 weeks. Any more, it's not good. All right. It could be one of those things that, I don't want to get into a pissing match and you cancel the order and they had shipped it and not given you any indication they'd shipped it and it's about to arrive on your doorstep. I obviously want to legitimately pay for stuff, so. I've just actually never had an experience like that before. Ever. Even in eBay. I've done thousands of transactions on eBay. No, maybe 1,000 transactions. I don't know, thousands, but because I have sold multiple things to multiple people. And I've only had 2 bad experiences. I don't remember what the second one was. It was a little bit less significant than the first one. The first time it was somebody that was a model kit that I had bought from them probably 20 years ago. And it was said it was complete and it wasn't. It didn't have any decals with it. And I responded. I tried to reach them multiple times. And I basically gave them, said, hey, I gave them feedback like, hey, listen, kit was good, tried to contact them several times, no decals, can't get a hold of them, And then they responded back with giving me bad feedback, saying, you should have tried to contact us. And their exact words were, eat the negative feedback. Literally, eat the negative feedback. That's really the only bad experience I've ever had with eBay. I don't have bad experiences with things, so generally. So we will see. I'll give them a couple weeks. You would think they'd be on the ball now with just just tell me you got the email that you guys are alive, or I just don't want to miss my window of canceling the charges or whatever. I have it when they don't tell. You hate it when you don't tell you you've shipped it without tracking. I actually had somebody send me something and they said, "Hey, listen, this is going to need a signature." And I'm like, "Oh shit, that's a problem." I would have put my work address, because my wife is here during the workday. She works about half the days from home, and she can be here. But if she's not, nobody's going to arrive when the postman's when the nobody's going to be here when the postman arrives, because we're working. But it ended up not requiring a signature. It ended up being dropped. We have a sealed mail box, a sealed parcel box in our neighborhood, and they had it in there. So that was a non-issue, but. Yeah, it's a shame. I wouldn't have ordered from them had I seen the feedback. I guess that's what I'm going to have to do next time. If I haven't heard from a vendor before, look them up on the internet and see if something comes up with, "Oh, don't use these guys. They stiffed me for this, or they did that, or the other." You're only getting one side of the story, so who knows if it's really legitimate. But it doesn't sound good that when the first thing you look up ends up being a bad experience with them. Like there's a Nissan Pathfinder, which is an SUV that drives around here in this town, and it has on the back of they made a special sticker for this. Says, "Don't ever take your vehicle service to such and such a place. They're out to screw you." And they're like willingly advertising this on their own personal vehicle, that they got bent by this repair shop, which happens to be the dealership of that particular brand here in town. And you must have had a really bad experience to be that adamant about, let me broadcast this everywhere I go in my vehicle. But, you never know. You never know what transpired. Live and well, chilling in northern Michigan, 36 degrees. It's supposed to get, maybe not that cold, but cold over the weekend. Okay, studio, go have fun errands. Hopefully you are your own errand boy. You're not having to do them for somebody else. So we'll see if that stuff comes in. Luckily, it's not life-threatening, and it's not an amount of money that's, if I was to lose it or whatever, it's not the end of the world. We will see. But injection molded kits going out of production, I just never heard of that. And it's stuff that they just run a set and then they're out. I happened to catch a video the other day while I was at the gym. I had it on my watch list, and this guy they take him on a tour of the Airfix factory, or one of the Airfix factories, in the UK, and showed how they did the injection molded kits. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought there would have been more to see, but apparently all the exciting part gets done in China, all the tooling, which is, making of the mold and stuff. In 1 month, it will be 13 degrees during the day. Whew. That's cold. And I think Michigan is moist like it is here. It's out west that it's dry as shit. I just can't deal with the dryness. I just can't deal with it. Well, in about a month, what is that? No, that's not right. January 14th. In a couple weeks, I'll be up in the Northeast for about a week. We're gonna go to the New York City and the Northeast. So Hopefully it'll be cool. So yeah, there's no more face-to-face gaming for me the rest of the year. I couldn't game Monday as my wife's out of town, and I don't want to leave my daughter here. My daughter's old enough to stay alone, but why? You know, it's just gaming. I've played hundreds of games. I don't want to leave her here. You know, I don't mind hanging out with her. I'm doing schoolwork right now. And next week, for some reason, he's not available. And then after that, the following Monday, it's I'm gone. So I would rather not have time to game face to face than not have time to paint, because this takes a hell of a lot more time to do than the other one. 1 year it dropped to -3. I was reading, the book I'm reading right now is basically the defense of Moscow in, winter of 41, 42. And they were talking about some, like, being -40 centigrade all the time. I don't know what the hell that is in Fahrenheit, but that's freaking cold. That's some cold ass shit. And even went down to -60. That's like our Antarctica stuff. A frozen Nazi popsicle. Well, that's what you get. It's what you get for being a Nazi. The coldest I think it's ever been here that I remember, it may have gotten down to 15. May have gotten down to 15. And it routinely, every year, gets down into the 20s for sure. You're going to have days where it's in the 20s. It may only be a week's worth of days, and they may not even be interconnected. All I know is that when it's really cold like that here, it is absolutely gorgeous blue skies. It is never overcast. It's beautiful. So I can't wait. Hopefully that doesn't happen while I'm away. What's nice is it keeps the tourist away. You don't like tourists? Depends on the tourist, I bet. Some tourists are more pleasant than others. So we're just making sure that we got black in the dark recesses where we need to. And then we'll have to do our green comparisons, because I think the color green I was going to use is not the color green I'm going to use now. I don't do Flames of War, but Flames of War has a really good website. They have a lot of ideas for maybe starting points on color schemes and stuff like that. So I do like all their articles. I just don't do 15 millimeter, and I don't do that rule set. So, but they got some great articles and stuff on there. Great suggestions for, use this for this, or you can look at the Flames of War paint sets from Vallejo, and that's what we'll do next. We got to do a dry brush of whatever green that is. Then we will do an Agrax Earthshade wash, and then we'll go back to building models, because that's got to dry a little bit. That takes a little bit of time. You working on anything today there, Justin? had to. I wanted to be productive today, so I made sure we got one of these liquid deaths on the way home. The coffee's so strong you could pour it on a graveyard and do like an immediate, thriller video. just come up from the dead. You do Flames of War. They're doing resin a lot, though. Yeah, the thing that I'm kind of jealous about Flames of War, there's really only one thing I'm jealous about. Some of their miniatures, man, they give you lots of extra parts. Like you'll see, there was a 15 millimeter. Like I was looking at a T-34 set, and at a T-34 set was like, or at least they claimed in this article, is you got like 3 tanks, but you could build either the 40s, the 41s, the 42s, or T-34 85s, and they gave you all the turrets for all of them. So you'd get like 3 hulls and like 9 turrets or something like that. That's just like crazy. Like good crazy. Like I wish I could get stuff like that. All those extra parts. And if I had started doing skirmish gaming now, I might have considered doing 15 millimeter. For individually based ones, maybe. But honestly, it's the 20 millimeter figures and the sculptor who made them that got me into even skirmishing gaming in this scale to begin with. So you have a huge SS division from Flames of War. The Uber Nazis. Well, I finally got around to watching a movie that speaking of Nazis, I finally got around to watching a movie that I've been wanting to see for a long time. I watched the first half last night with my daughter. And what a strange freaking movie. I knew it was strange. But I'm not sure I like it. I'm not sure I like it at all. And it's, of course, Jojo Rabbit. I saw the first half, and, it has some funny moments. But I'm probably going to finish it now because, otherwise I wasted my time watching half of a damn movie. It's not that bad, but, it has some funny parts in it, but man, this chair just loves to squeak. Squeal and squeak. Shouldn't be squeaking. I'm not that big. I'm actually a gamer medium. I have never painted any dedicated SS stuff. It just hasn't come up with any reason to. I've got some infantry to do. And I'd like to just for the challenge of painting their camouflage. I'm not opposed to that. And if you try to paint this without a spray paint underneath, man, it takes you so many coats to cover this. And this is real life. This is either, I don't know if this is pure lead, but this is a high content of lead. So much when you handle this, you get all You get all that graphite looking stuff, the graphite looking stuff on your hands. Look like you've been in a fight with a mechanical pencil. Okay. We're just going to make all three of these plain. You got some tree trunks that these came with that you can add them on there, but did we already coat this one? It looks like I did. Let's make sure we're not missing anything all the way back down here. And in this one, we should just be able to go ahead and paint. Yep. And by the time we're done painting this one, these other ones should have dried. A very strange movie. And again, the strangest thing about it is it has an inappropriate soundtrack. It's got a soundtrack that, music from the, I guess it was like from the '60s or something like that, when it takes place in, World War II. Just like Kelly's Heroes, with the damn wrong music in it. Oh, I still got the turrets to do. Stupid me. All right, well, let's get some helping hands out here. It should be... Oh, it's right here. Perfect. These have like a little nub on the bottom, so that's what we're going to grab these turrets from. Make sure we got a good coating of this stuff on here. Three folks, welcome. Grab a seat. Grab a seat in your favorite beverage. Mine happens to be caffeine. That's how you get shit done. Liquid motivation. Midweek. For those of us that have a normal schedule, not the off on Mondays and Tuesdays nonsense. Mr. Jack, welcome. Just popped in. Gone midnight here. We're stayed for a short while. Welcome. How you doing over there? Got the cold weather in your part of the world. I like the cold weather, but I like sunny skies. So when we get coldish here, it's always sunny. It is the sunshine state. for good reason. We're supposed to have a rainy day tomorrow. We never have a cold front come in without rain here in Florida. I don't know if that's common everywhere. I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but here in Florida, you cannot get cold weather show up without a rainy day where it just comes through, and that's what brings it in. Watched you yesterday with that awful construct. Which awful construct? This? Talking about the antenna? That thing's, I had to put it down for a little while. I'm sure I'll get over it. I just kind of, sometimes you just have to punt. The kit's not bad. It just, man, if you're not an experienced modeler, you're hosed. You've got to like look at different things, or 12-year-old me would have not been able to deal with that, or 15-year-old me, or 20-year-old me wouldn't have been able to deal with that. Very cold even for Britain in December. Well, rumor has it, finally going to get my chance to go to Europe in about a year. I'm not going to Britain, can't go everywhere. So I've never been. We were just getting ready to go, and then the COVID thing happened. So, we need everything to be normalized before we go over there. Yeah, wheeled vehicle with antenna. It's not bad, but I think what I'm going to end up having to do is I'm going to have to drape one of them Nazi flags over the top of it to cover up over the things, which, that's kind of a vehicle that would have had that kind of stuff anyways. It's either that or I got to buy a Plastic Soldier Company makes a set of armored cars where you get 3 different ones, but you can only build 3, but you can either build a 231, that 263, or the 233 that has the 75 millimeter howitzer in an open top position. So, you just don't build any of the half tracks, then you got that free antenna. But I think I'm going to try draping something over it, because it's just in a couple different places. But man, the antenna, just when you've got 2 parts that you're trying to line up and they go like this, they don't sit inside one another. It's just one rounded thing sitting on another rounded thing. And I can handle it, but that's going to be one of those things when it's on the battlefield, nobody touches that thing except me, because I got to fix it. But I think it'll end up looking pretty good, and I'll go back to that after I'm done doing this. But yeah, we got to get some Soviets for these guys to fight. It's definitely not a beginner's kit. The most difficult kit I've ever tried putting together, and I ended up walking away from, was let's see, it's about the time I got married. So about 20 years ago, I was in a hobby store back when they had those in South Florida, and I saw this Spanish galleon that was approximately 15 millimeter scale. So it actually might have been like HO scale, so it might have been close to 1/72. Anyhow, it was all made of wood. It was beautiful. And you had to put all the planks and stuff on there. And I didn't realize when I bought it, it was like $120, $130, $140, something like that. I figured that would look really nice in our house, because we had a lot of Spanish themed things in our house, because, that's where our people come from. But it would go, well, putting it somewhere. And it's all, stained in the wood that's already the correct color. I didn't realize when I bought it, you actually have to buy I don't know what the exact terminology is, but you have to buy a mold or somehow to put it on there to bend the pieces of wood as you're putting it on there. And it was just overwhelming. It's a skill set that I didn't have, nor do I want to develop. And I'm like, I never did anything with it for about 15 years, and eventually sold it. And probably lost $50 in the thing. But hey, Nordic, welcome. It was a beautiful model. It was a beautiful model, all wooden pieces. The cannons were, they had actual brass parts for the cannons, and it was about 15 millimeter scale, something like that. And yeah, I just walked away from it. That's just too much. Vacuum form. I wouldn't touch a vacuum form anything, But other than that, with the internet is a blessing because I don't know what to do with this. So you look it up, and other people, you get ideas from other people. Oh, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Yes.
I'm all done. I'm gonna do my nails. So if you wanna go meet up at like 8:10.
That sounds good. 8:10 sounds good. In
Okay,
30 minutes.
that's just fine. That
Okay.
sounds good. I'm gonna do my nails.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
Okay. So we got about 30 minutes of this. No big deal. Daughter had to do some study and want to finish the rest of the movie that we were watching last night. So that's all good. It's good to do multiple different things. And then if she's done early, maybe we'll do some video gaming later on. Or maybe we'll come back to paint this. But other than like a vacuum form or something like that, the internet, you can I don't know what to do, and you go and you get other people. Like I'm excited to do some winter camouflage. I've seen lots of articles. I've seen other people's rendition of them. I've liked some other people's renditions of them. I think I should be able to kick it out of the park. But we're not going to do it with these 3 T-34s. Maybe we'll do it with the next 3. Yeah, I missed the mute button. It's okay. We weren't talking bad about you guys anyways. Shit happens. I can't see. If I had done this 10 years ago, I'd be doing this in 20/20 vision. I got to pull my contacts out, and I'm walking. I'm like, my field of view is tiny. So should have just done instead of fumbling for that other thing. That's all right. I'm pretty sure child molesters only get excited about seeing little girls, not necessarily hearing them. Never mind. Let's not go there. Do they have that all over the world, or just in the U.S. where they're required to let the authorities know if you are one of those predators where you live, and as a citizen you can go on there and find out. It'll have a map, and you can tell what they look like and who's living in what house. We've got one in our neighborhood, and I know what he looks like, so you can make sure you hunt down the right person, if it comes down to it. Family time's good time. Worst kit attempted was a plastic kit, a Swedish ship of the line. Oh, that sounds painful. Probably the Vasa. Worst kit I ever built. Those vacuum form things. That Russian PST one's pretty bad, only because of the instructions. It's got a lot of flash, but I built it. But I did it recently, but what did I walk away from? There's got to be stuff that I walked away from when I was younger. That was the one. The damn Vasa. Might have been like a Heller or something like that, right? I think Heller used to make a Vasa. A lot of the kits is the instructions are just poor. Like this Rodin kit, I think it's a really good kit. It has really good detail on it. It's molded really well. The machine gun is beautiful. But if you don't have the internet to consult where things go, It's vague as shit sometimes, you know? It's vague as shit. It really is. Do all sorts Nordic, started with Airfix. You seen the guy that, I want to say it's the Yorkshire Gamer guys. Did you see the guy that I want to say it's the Yorkshire Gamer guys that are they're getting ready to play a naval game in 1/700 scale. So they've got, and I started naval gaming, so that's still in my blood. Jack, I think you do some of that naval gaming as well. So you're playing around with like a hood that's this long. I mean that's pretty cool, but the rules have to have a lot of detail if I'm going to use a ship that big. You know what I mean? And I've actually never played a naval game that's very vague. We started with Sea Creek 4, and I played Sea Creek 5 as well. And it's very detailed. And actually, one time we did Denmark straight. Of course, when we did it, it was a 2400 scale. We did Battle Denmark straight, and the hood ended up blowing up exactly at the same time when it did a turn and it did in real life, and we just stopped there. We're like, okay, we're done here. that's 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 done. You know. Okay, now I just got to remember which one I did first. Oh, so we got to go to the Flames of War site. I believe that they said it was. I want to look at the green. When the hell did the volume go out? All right. Let's see. Okay, well, I don't know when the hell the volume went out. Anyhow, so I'm checking out what the recommendation is for Vallejo's green color for the Russians. I did 3 Russian vehicles. I'm happy with the color that I ended up using, but I don't remember what it was. And it was long enough ago that it's not brown violet. We're going to have to Here's Russian uniform. I know it wasn't that. It's not U.S. olive drab. It's not olive gray. Reflective green, that's the one they recommended as the highlight. Yeah, I don't know why it went out when I went on the Flames of War website. I don't know. I gotta contact my producer. I don't do well with interruptions anyways, so it's probably an interruption thing. This son of a bitch is in the way. Let's see what we got here. Not yellow olive. Not bronze green. Not US dark. I never read it. It's $8.94. Not Luftwaffe. Luftwaffe. Unpopular opinion. I actually like the older Flames of War rules. Unpopular opinion. Flames of War is not for me. But I do like their website. And they have some cool history stuff there, but German dark green, that ain't it. Good Lord, I got enough of these things. Well, what I did is I sold some of the first things that I did is I ended up Russian green. This is probably what I used. Oh, and this is the color. It's $8.94. Yeah, $8.94. This is it. It's just called Russian green there. It's called something else on the other one. I guarantee this is what I used. Okay, let's put all this shit back. Now, one of the things at first, I started selling things I hadn't touched in 20 years, like my Battletech miniatures, which I thought were nicely painted. I bet if I'd taken pictures of them and kept them, I would probably disagree. And then just use those monies to buy Vallejo paint. So I had all of the colors, and then they've added other ones. And I just, not that I need this many colors, but I do. I mean, I didn't want to just pocket the money. It would just disappear. I just put it right back in the hobby. So, and I rarely touch most of these colors. These greens and stuff, I haven't touched them in a long time. A painting diary is required. Nah, just better memory. Then you gotta remember where you put the painting diary. It's just like passwords. You know what my password keeper is for websites? It's my wife. I don't remember. She's always getting to me. You don't remember your password? I said, I can't use the same one for everything. You know? Or you'll enter a password. You can't use that one. You didn't put a capital letter. So you put a capital letter. You didn't give a number. Okay, now you do a capital letter and small letters, at least 8 characters, then a number, and then you didn't use another character like an exclamation point. Nonsense. Game is fun if you play it with friends just for giggles without points. Going with a more historical force build. I just don't think the game's detailed enough for me. I like a game that's more detailed. If you're talking about World War II, which is my religion, Advanced Squad Leader is not detailed enough for me. You know, you were on the other night when we were playing Gates of Hell Ostfront. I ended up buying a Panzer IV-E, and I'm like, that, or a D. It was a D or an E, and I'm like, it had the side hatches on the turret. It had them as 2, and I'm like, no, the D and the E both had a solid piece. You know, you're not getting that shit by me, there, computer people. I don't like how the game looks when it's being played. People lining up their tanks all like in a row, like a Napoleonic thing. It just doesn't scratch the itch. It's less detailed than Command Decision, I think. So might as well just play Command Decision. I'm familiar with that one. You remember you called him out on it, yeah. But that's part of the enjoyment. I am a treadhead, you know? I am a treadhead. Once you're a 135th scale modeler and stuff like that, you can't get that back out of your blood. I don't want to do that stuff anymore, but, there's just stuff you remember. So we got Russian green. This is our base color that we're going to use. And I'm really confident in this method of painting now, because I've used it successfully many times and been happy with the results. So here we go. We're going to dry brush, heavy dry brush, but we want to leave some black and recesses. This is basically a free pen wash. You get a free black pen wash out of this. So the way I plan on doing winter camouflage is painting a green vehicle, and then whitewash it like with a normal vehicle. But we're gonna do a set of these before we go and jump on that. My only gripe about the winter whitewash is then I'm going to have a different basing for some of the vehicles. So, but sometimes it looks really nice. Except for that pattern that the T-34s had around Moscow. They almost like they took this waffle pattern of almost like they took a fence, like a chain link fence, and put it over it, and they sprayed over it, and it just looks really weird. Just dipping your toes in World War II, bought a lot of stuff off of Curtis, and starting with Flames of War. So you've never dealt into... It says more about the people playing Flames of War than the rules. You have to maintain command cohesion with your stands, but a lot of players line up their tanks. It's stupid. Yeah. Just getting into World War II, huh? That's all we used to play as kids. But I guess it just depends who's around you. I've never played Napoleonics growing up. I mean, I have with Mitch, but I never had any interest in it. It just wasn't... I wasn't anti-Napoleonics. It just wasn't... It was the game that stuffy old people played. I was a kid. We played something that was more dynamic. World War II was just that... Always the stuff that really got me interested in military history. Since day one. But I've played those operational scale games before, and I want the crazy narratives that revolve around throwing a grenade and where the crazy places it could land, and the insanity that happens after that, along the way. Different people are interested in different periods for different reasons. I know several people, all they do is do sword to flame type of stuff. I think sword in the flame period would be great if it was, Europeans fighting other Europeans with natives in the middle, not, the British against, people that they're primitive, basically. That just doesn't sound, it seems very lopsided. But, different strokes for different folks. We always did World War II, never did Napoleonics. Don't like American Civil War. Definitely don't like American Civil War. I don't like American history to begin with. It's boring. I'm already American. Why do I want to play a history here? Never done anything later than ACW before. Wow. Well, Oh, you got the math on the Pendragon 10 mil. Their tanks and vehicles go for 15. You can get 5 10 mil tanks. For 14, you can get 5 6 millimeter tanks. Oh, so they're like the same price as GHQ, huh? And their infantry's a lot cheaper. Looks like. Yeah. Only reason I wouldn't do a scale like 10 mil or something like that is if there's only one manufacturer. Because if that manufacturer goes belly up, you're up a creek. Like these people that are buying into, who is it? The Warlord Games makes their new Epic and I've seen their stuff. It's a fine scale, like scale wise, but they're the only ones making 12.5 mil. So if they decide to like pull a Games Workshop and like we're not going to support this anymore, and they haven't come out with, say, all the units that you need to play the game, you're up a creek. You know? That doesn't really work well for me with as slow as it takes for me to get around to painting things. So, let's do this hole next. I think doing Ancients and Medievals and 10s actually would look pretty good. There just aren't that many different manufacturers. I'm pretty sure I won't be doing Ancients and Medievals for a little bit. Maybe a year. Just, oh my goodness, we have two different, these are different. I thought all these were the same and they're not. This has a square plate here. I thought all three of these holes were the same, and they are not. These are different by having this little plate back here, square and round here. So I'm going to have to do some research and find out which one went with which one. Aha! I like learning about stuff. I just noticed that. I got plenty of each, so. Warlord Epic Naps is fine, but Waterloo's been done to death. Would you believe I've only played Waterloo once? If I'm going to play Napoleonics, I want to play Austrians. I got a soft spot for those guys. And as much as I don't mind playing DBN, if I was a Napoleonics guy, there's no way I'd play DBN. It just doesn't have enough detail. If that was something that was super into, if that was, like my period or something like that. Well, it wasn't until I started doing DBA in 2004. I had not done any wargaming that wasn't World War I or World War II at all. I'd played in games, but like painted my own stuff. We did World War I and World War II naval. And land in World War II. And never did any periods other than that. I'd have played DBA a lot earlier if I knew it was around. But, that's just in a time period where, you played whatever the people that were in your area playing. I think at one point, the local hobby store, I did see some people playing a game that seemed like it was DBA, but it was a long time ago. It would have been DBA 1.1, and I think they might have played it one time and then just didn't do it again. So, kind of missed out on that. Have a mind to switch 15 mil to 109 Austria stands alone campaign. Your show is on. Uh-oh. What show comes on at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays? I don't watch anything live, so I wouldn't know. I think I got enough time to finish painting this and the turrets, and then I'm going to have to call out as well and watch the rest of the second half of that movie. Like I said, it was a weird movie. It's a movie I've been looking forward to seeing for a long time. I don't know why. It looked like it could be. I guess I expected it to be better than it is, but very strange movie, that Jojo Rabbit. So we're going to watch the second half of it. And I'm not sure I like it, but I'm far enough along that it's got some funny parts in it, but it I get turned off of movies when they have music in them and it's not the correct period. Music is supposed to go with the feeling of it. If you're gonna let me choose, that's what it's gonna be. But hey, I'm just a bystander. I'm not making the movie. One of the great things is I also love a DVR movie painted. We sat there waiting for when you're ready. Yep. Oh yeah, they'll get used again. One thing I'm not going to go back to. I'm not going to go back to get this done for this show or that. I'll get things done. Things are done when they're done. You know. I love what I've been doing the last 3 months, where it's like, I feel like building a Panzer III. Oh, I'm gonna do a T-34. I'm gonna do a this, that, or the other. Just one thing at a time, and it's not for any show. I'm probably not gonna run this game at a show. This is, this is painting this stuff towards playing, but if I don't get to play, I'm okay. This is almost like building models with the intention of eventually getting to that. But I'm loving reading about World War II again, which I hadn't read stuff in 20 years. So there's all kinds of new stuff that's changed our understanding how we thought things were, and I'm really enjoying that. Now, wargaming for me, historical wargaming for me, it's always been about learning and then being able to participate in history by, rolling the dice and making decisions and moving your guys forward. And we'll have to find out about I got tons of these. I got probably 9 of each kind, so I got a lot of T-34s, a lot. So that's why I don't feel so bad about experimenting with trying some different stuff on them as we go along, because if something were to go wrong and I don't like how they turn out, I got plenty more to try it out on. Yep. Yeah, I don't want to paint to a deadline, Jack. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's not worth it. And I'm tired of playing games where the rules don't make any sense, but we got to play them that way. I'm like, no, if this doesn't make sense, let's change it. We're not noobs off the street. We're experienced war gamers, and we're the ones out there recruiting new players, and we need to stop being tortured by shit that doesn't make sense. These Algebra 2-ish type rules, Now, this looks all boring, just one color green, but it'll look good. It will look good. We don't have any decals for these. Well, I don't have any dedicated decals for them. They actually don't make a set for these super early T-34s. So I'm going to plan on hand painting the stuff on there, which shouldn't be too big of an ask for me. I just didn't want to do it with the German turret numerals, because they definitely use stencils, and they almost always were very orderly looking. But Sometimes the Russian numerals are just all over the place. You know, guys are hopped up on potato vodka, painting numbers kind of thing. So the plan is we paint this in this method. Then we will give them a Agrax Earthshade wash. Wait for that to dry. Then we'll come back with this color again and dry brush highlights. And then we will mix this color with some dark sand and pick out highlight stuff. Add the decals. Weather the colors that come in from the... I'm not doing rust streaks or chipping or... The chipping's almost too realistic for a War Games miniature, for my taste. Okay. There we have it. Doesn't look very exciting right now, but I'll guarantee all three of these will look different. Maybe not dramatically different from each other. And they're a different color green than they look on the screen there for you. They're a lot more brighter and more greenish looking on your screen than on mine. My opinion between Agrax and Nuln, I like them both. It's just a quick wash. I just use the Agrax Earthshade for the vehicles to simulate some of the dirt. That's all. Nuln, I use Nuln a lot on like chainmail and stuff like that. It's just easier to do that than doing something that's made out of a petroleum-based thing. You know, I like them both. They just keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up in price. The Agrax Earthshade, the original one I bought, is this 24 milliliter one, and I rebought it again, and it was $2 to $3 more, and it was 50% less. This is 18 mil. So, and I don't know if it's the same color, but you know, I'm not a Games Workshop disliker. I don't understand why they always got to keep screwing with stuff. Just leave things alone. You know, you guys make a good product, leave it alone. But, oh well. Okay, well, thanks for coming by. I really wish I didn't have to kick off, but, you know, I've got to spend some time with the daughter, but we're going to take the rest of this paint. Look how green this looks here. It's the green properties of it. It's definitely not that green. But we will continue on with the T-34s. And I tell you what, early Germans, these guys are a problem to deal with. They are really a problem to deal with. So, thanks, Jack, for coming by. Don't be a stranger. We'll catch you next time. Maybe by that time I'll figure out how to use this microphone mute. But, okay, folks. See you guys.